Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pagey, here once again with another video on The Flash Season 8, and this is going to be my trailer breakdown for the penultimate episode of this season, the second last episode, episode 19, otherwise entitled Negative, Book 1, not Part 1, but Book 1, and yeah, let's watch this goddamn trailer, and then we're going to talk about everything within it.
I know this feels different. It is. This is personal.
Stop giving me my speed back.
We're gonna need all the meta power we can get.
My speed? Something's wrong.
Sacrifices gotta be made.
Flash, you gotta pay for what you did.
So yeah, very cool trailer, but last episode we had the reintroduction of the original Eobard Thawne, played by Matt Letcher, who was like, he's got like a form of amnesia where he can't really remember anything vividly, so he can have like little flashes and stuff of, like, there's a bit of a name, flashes of memories and stuff like that, but nothing really that strings together to anything really important. So he can only really remember things over the past year, which is when he started working at Fast Track Labs and where he builds a connection with Mina Darwan. And he's the guy who's built this machine that's given Mina temporary speed, and it's all about trying to figure out how to make it permanent. And we find out that the reason that she has speed is because originally it was going to be Eobard, but Mina has a heart condition where she has a bit of like a moment, like a bit of an attack, where Eobard puts her in the machine, and that's what's keeping her alive and keeping her going. So that's why they really want to find a permanent solution to this, so it's not temporary and they have to keep using the machine. But of course there are side effects to this, or a bad angle, because as Barry does find out when he goes to visit the other Eobard Thawne in prison, that if Mina keeps using this, she'll just get overcome with the negative speed force and eventually just not be Mina anymore and potentially just die. But of course, on the side with the prison Eobard Thawne, we have Diggle returning, and they really sort of quote unquote wrap up that potential Green Lantern storyline, but even then you still put a question mark on it because you're not too sure if it is fully done or anything like that. But Diggle does reject the offering that was there, which I think on a character basis in regards to him made sense, but obviously it is disappointing for us fans that wanted to see that progress in some way, shape or form. But right at the end of the episode, Dion, the avatar for the Still Force, or what we're led to believe is our Dion, shows up in Eobard Thawne's cell on Lian, and well, they're going to team up. But of course, before we get into the actual breakdown of the trailer, we will quickly read out the synopsis or description for this episode, because why not? And yeah, so we'll read that out. But of course, throughout the video, be sure to let me know in the comment section down below your various thoughts, opinions, theories, predictions for everything going forward in this episode, as well as the finale as well, and just this overall end of the season. I'm always curious to read what you guys are thinking and what you think might go on, just what you're looking forward to the most. And of course, if you're going to enjoy the video and you're looking forward to this episode, why not drop a like on the video to show your support. The Flash and team are in for the fight of their lives. Meanwhile, Iris discovers the cause of her time sickness. So obviously they're trying to keep it as spoiler-free as possible, like mentioning just Flash, and then like we knew Iris was coming back in episode 19 as well. So nothing really revealed in that synopsis at all. But we start off the trailer with, I know this feels different. It is. This is personal. And I think that sums up this conflict that's going to be going on between Eobard Thawne and Barry Allen perfectly. Like, especially this time around. Like, it's always been a personal battle, especially for Thawne initially, and then including Barry after the murder of Nora. And then it's like, well, yeah, then it's 100% personal from both sides. But there is just more weight to this and weight added to all of this, like already personal conflict, especially with Thawne, due to the events and aftermath of Armageddon where Barry took his powers away. And then you include Iris in all of this and potentially why she has been this way with the time sickness for like the past season or so. Was it due to anything that Eobard did, or was it due to this version of Dion, and then he's, affiliated with Thawne, which, causes anger from Barry? Like, the build-up feels like a final season build-up, like as if like this was the second last episode of the show ever, and then the week after is the series finale. But of course, we know season 9 is coming our way next year, and we've heard Eric Wallace, the showrunner, say like they sort of built it up where if it was going to be a series-ending season, then that's what this would be. And it sort of feels that way, which makes you wonder, what do they do in season 9? But they would have known far enough in advance, I think, where they could write it to what they wanted to do. So If they were told late, then it might be a bit of an issue, but I feel like they were given a good enough heads up to the point where they could write the ending of this season the way that they wanted to, where season 9 still feels like a progression, if you know what I mean. But on this screen here in Star Labs, it appears to be the other forces and their colors maybe. Like you have the green for the Still Force, pink for the Sage Force, and blue for the Strength Force. Now, I'm not sure whether like that is like sensing it within someone. Like maybe that like, oh, that's like their force levels, if you want to put it. Or maybe it's just like their health status or something like that. I'm not too sure, but it just looks like the other forces, with the only one not being there, of course, being the Speed Force. Though we know that the Still Force has been acting up, and that looks the same as the other colors on that screen. So who knows exactly what is going on there? Maybe it's the negative versions of those forces. I'm not too sure, but Barry looks pretty concerned when he's looking at those, like those readings on there. So they must not be good in any way. Now, we do see the prison Eobard talking to Dion, sort of, carrying on from the end of last episode, with him saying, some way giving me my speed back. So this means that Dion directly, I guess, just won't go, hallelujah, and bless Eobard with speed here. But there is going to be a task at hand throughout some portion of the episode in order for prison Eobard to get that speed back. Now, will this be through altering the machine in Fast Track Labs, or will it have to do with like messing with the forces as they are and accessing the negative speed force in that way? I would assume by the end of this episode, Eobard 100% has his speed back, and there are other things happening throughout this episode as well. So I don't know, like I just don't think it would be too difficult of a task in regards to what they are planning to do in order to get Eobard his speed back. It's probably a pretty simple one, but maybe someone has to pay the price for it, which adds some levity to it. And it makes you wonder whether that someone who pays the price for it is the Fast Track Eobard, the Eobard that's working in Fast Track Labs. Now, that doesn't mean he dies necessarily, but there could be an off chance that he has some like negative speed force within him still that like the prison version of Eobard can take from him. But we do see him appearing to be protected by Mina in this shot, who has her new comic book accurate suit on in a couple of the shots throughout this trailer, which looks good. Not too sure how she'll just randomly get it. Maybe the suit generator 1000 just makes it, but yeah. Anyway, maybe he was sitting there the entire time in Fast Track Labs. I'm not too sure. But yeah, she is appearing to be protecting her Eobard here. So I would say that Fast Track Eobard is a target in some way in this episode for Dion and the prison version of Eobard. But it's going to be interesting to see if he dies or not. Hopefully he doesn't. I just don't like the idea of them doing this and then he's just like this sacrificial lamb. I always hate when they do that with certain shows. Like The Flash doesn't do it too often. Really, any of the Arrowverse shows don't really do it too often. But it's like a cliche thing on TV, and I really hope that they don't do it this season, especially with this version of the character, because people are excited to have him back. But wait and see what happens. You don't want to jump to conclusions too much and make you like judge everything too early. But we do have Barry getting weak and that him saying like something is wrong with his speed. Now, is this because of Dion and just the messing with the other forces, which maybe could include this just the speed force as well? Or could it just be because the negative speed force is getting a bit more powerful and it's feeding off the regular speed force that Barry connects to as well? Maybe that's what's going on there. I'm very curious to see like the other forces in general, like how they play into this and whether we see them being attacked or just them just feeling weak or whatever it is. Well, I'm sure we'll get an inkling or a hint of it, like pretty early into this episode. But I guess the question is like, in what way are they being affected? Now, Dion says that Barry has to pay for what he did in the trailer and that sacrifices need to be made as well. That was said by Dion. And of course, we had that like new and old friend comment in episode 18 when Dion was speaking to Eobard. So firstly, it makes you wonder what Barry did. Is this in reference to Armageddon? Is this in reference to something else earlier in the season? Like, I'm sure we'll get an explanation of it. I doubt they're just going to leave us on a thread and going, oh, you're going to finish that? Are you going to finish explaining that? So I'm sure we'll get an explanation to that in the episode. But it really makes you wonder, is this the negative speed force? Like, not speed force, still force. Is this like the representation of the negative still force, whether it is another version of Dion or just a corrupted Dion itself? Because it's important to remember, like when in episode 15, which was the Enter the Still Force episode, Dion backstabs Barry and bails on him and leaves him there. However, he goes out of his way to bring Nora in, which helps Barry get out. So Dion isn't fully gone bad, unless the whole point is that Dion needed to backstab Barry in that moment to help himself, but he also needed Barry to be out of the still force as well. So we don't know whether there's a bit of good left on Dion, or whether he brought Nora in just to get Barry out because he needed Barry out. But then he couldn't even just taken Barry out himself. But then maybe he didn't want to give away that was a part of the plan. Maybe he wants Barry to think that like he succeeded in getting out of the still force against what Dion wanted. So once again, we'll probably get an inkling early on in regards to what's going on with Dion, because he has done a complete 180 compared to how we've seen him since the beginning of this season, really. But of course, we still have that time sickness thing there lingering, so maybe that affected Dion as well. But of course, in this episode, we do see Iris in the trailer on like that recovery bed. So she's, you know, as the synopsis does say, she figures out a way, or she discovers like a cause of her time sickness, which I guess would just, you know, lead to her getting out as well. But maybe that's a big plot point as well. Maybe she's like, I know who did this to me, or I know why this is exactly happening, and this is when it started. This is the origin point. And maybe that if we undo that, then it can stop, a certain other amount of things happening as well. Because maybe it is like the corrupted side of Dion that was affecting her, or this negative Dion that was messing with her, giving her the time sickness, and she figures that out. But once again, we'll have to wait and see. And I did see people wondering like why characters weren't constantly mentioning Iris, and I think it just would have brought down certain moments. I know it's a bit inconsistent, but I know I sort of preferred them not constantly going, "Oh, where's Iris?" Because they would have just spent 5 minutes every episode doing that for the same result. Like, we know why Iris is gone. Candice Patton, the actress, wanted some time off, so that's why she's back now. That's why she was gone for 4 episodes instead of 2, because she wanted that amount of time off. So they have to work around that. Now we do see Caitlin entering that chamber that like Chillblaine had the designs for at the end of last episode. Now I'm going to assume that maybe this is like an ending scene for the episode, or towards the end, like maybe like the final 5 minutes or something, with us then seeing the aftermath in the finale, or maybe there's a suggestion on what the chamber does to her in maybe a negative way. Get it? Because the title's negative. Anyway, maybe there's a lot of negative stuff that happens in this episode, and then some, I don't know, we'll have to wait and see. But anyway, I think we might just see her going into the chamber, and then we might see a bit of a thing that happens, and then the complete aftermath is in the finale. Because Danielle Panabaker, who plays Caitlin, said that once this season ends, you know exactly where this character is going in next season. So it's not like there's like 3 different theories. Like, the show must explicitly say, yo, this is happening. So it makes you wonder, does she change into Frost again? Or whatever it might be. Is there a backfire? We'll have to wait and see, but I'm very curious. I'm sure most of you are as well. Now, there's a couple of questions. If the Thawne in Fast Track Labs isn't a target, or if he is a target and survives, but let's just say like he isn't a target in general, will he remain good, or will those memories unlock? Because we know that those memories are suppressed, and he can only remember stuff over the past like year and a half or something like that. So like what happens if those memories unlock? Does he just go, oh yeah, I remember, I hated the Flash, I will be Reverse Flash, and all this different stuff? And then is he the character in season 9? I'm very curious to see how they handle him. I think we'll know by this episode if we're going to be dealing with him like going forward, because I guess he might die. But if he continues past this episode into episode 20, maybe those memories unlock. Or maybe that could even happen in this episode and he just doesn't appear in episode 20 until maybe towards the end, and it's like one of the cliffhangers or something. But I know, setting that character up in that way, where those memories are just sitting there and there could be something that unlocks them, I don't know, that just makes you think they could go forward with this character, you know what I mean? So I have to wait and see, but just keep that in mind, that they're not saying this is like a really good, like, oh, this is like a Thawne that never went evil or anything. This is a Thawne that's just lost his memories. So if he gains them back, I mean, he'd go back to being the Thawne that we know, or at least a type of Thawne that we know. So just keep that in mind. And of course, are there any more surprises for the end of this season, like last episode with Diggle showing up? Because that was a big surprise. I think people were saying he was in the credits at the beginning of the episode. I don't really read the credits too much. I'm just focusing on the episode, but people said he was in like the opening credits. So I missed that, but I think most people did, because everyone seemed so surprised when he showed up. And I wouldn't expect any surprises in this episode outside of just story elements that are, going to play out. I think in regards to characters, maybe in the finale, like we know there's going to be that surprise cameo towards the end of the season, or the finale as well. So I'd probably just count on that. I wouldn't expect any other things happening outside of like Bart and Nora. Like I think towards the end of this episode 19, you'll probably see Bart, Nora, and Jay Garrick show up. But in regards to like a more surprising character that you wouldn't necessarily associate with the Flash, I wouldn't be expecting it, but you never know. I'm not gonna say it's not gonna happen. I just don't think it will happen. Now, unfortunately, we don't have any promo images at this stage. If when they do come out and if they are interesting, I might include them in a video over the weekend. But at this point in time, they are not out, which is a bit unfortunate. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, it'd be awesome if you could drop a like on to show support. Let me know in the comment section down below your various opinions on everything we went over. I'm always curious to read what you guys are thinking and what you want to happen in these final 2 episodes of the season. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. And I will catch you guys later. Goodbye.